Good morning, rebels, and welcome to my ABC of perimenopause and menopause. So, today I am going to be talking about aches and pains, yet it's not all about the symptoms of menopause. As you would have seen on my introductory video on Friday, we're going to look at the physical, the psychological, and the emotional symptoms of perimenopause and menopause too. So today I'm going to be talking about joint pain and muscle pain, and it was aptly World Osteoporosis Day last Wednesday. So it's about how we can best look after our joints and our muscles. So as we enter sort of perimenopause, we can experience a sense of loss around our identity. So who are we now? And we're not that sort of 35-year-old or younger. Or that's where I choose to stay put actually, or younger come to that. And there's also the physical experiences that we have in change of our physical appearances and our identity too. So, and we may struggle to get out of bed in the morning. A bit, as I said, like that tin man passed me the WD-40, metaphorically speaking. So like we felt we've aged about 20 years. And I wonder if that sounds familiar to you. And for me, it feels like an age to actually sort of wind myself up in the morning and stretch out that stiffness that seemingly has sort of magically built up overnight, or is that just me? So there are the creaks and the clicks that begin to creep in that sort of is potentially a sign of perimenopause and menopause. So yes, you can blame it on the hormones if you choose to. And with muscles, you may feel quite sore when you wake up, like those muscles are really screaming out at you, feeling like everything is tight and very tired. And maybe you can't sleep properly as a result because you're in pain. So it's a bit like that sort of vicious circle. And it's sort of that double whammy of joint pain and muscle ache and pains. And a bit like maybe if you're commuting in a professional career when you're sort of running to catch the train or the tube, maybe you feel those those creaks and that aches sort of really coming in. So yes, with perimenopause and menopause, there is a link to that joint and that muscle pain. So you haven't suddenly aged by about 40 years, and sometimes it might feel like you're kind of hurtling towards that sort of significant sort of birthday card from the Queen. So in a basic sense, it is estrogen that plays a pivotal important role in the onset of that joint pain and that musculoskeletal pain in the perimenopause and menopause years for us. And estrogen does affect our cartilage, which is the sort of corrective, the connective tissue in our joints, as well as affecting our bone turnover as well. So it does play a big role in inflammation and pain. So the downside of this as we head into perimenopause is those fluctuating hormones that cause our joints to hold less water, which they need to work properly. And it's also thought that low estrogen may cause some low-grade inflammation too, which may be another reason why we're experiencing menopausal joint pain. So many of us may experience those problems more in the morning, and they generally ease throughout the day. I know that kind of happens for me, so it sounds about right for me. And I wonder what it feels like for you. So here are my sort of very short top tips, if you like my experience as that tin man. So keeping hydrated, keep drinking water, making sure that you meet those 2 litres a day, maybe add some slices of fruit or maybe some cucumber to the water just to give a bit of zing, a bit of flavour. The importance of a healthy and balanced diet, so an anti-inflammatory one, so eating the rainbow, lots of colourful vegetables and legumes, and getting that right balance between protein, carbs, oily fish twice a week if you can, meat, organic where possible, so lots of fruit and vegetables for plenty of fibre to support your metabolism. Look to avoid gluten if you can, if you have a sensitivity, and sort of reducing the alcohol if you can, and caffeine and Coke. And I mentioned that because Diet Coke, I drank that for many, many years and I don't now. And reducing your dairy and processed meat too, in favour of more of a plant-based diet if you can. And consider HRT if you feel like that could be a route for you, whether that's tablets, patches, gels, spray, and very much discuss this with your GP and or a menopause specialist. HRT we know can support bone health and can be a great insurance policy against developing osteopenia, osteoporosis. And get moving. Do regular weight bearing and resistant exercise, as much walking as you can. Make this part of your daily commute, daily routine. I know I'm going to get out shortly to get moving and a bit of walking, and weights and yoga and Pilates as well. And finally, support with supplements. It is really important to make sure you're getting enough vitamin D, calcium, magnesium, potassium and zinc. And if you're like me, I've seen a nutritionist for many, many years. And if you can't do through this diet alone, you may want to consider supplement, like an all-in-one supplement like a multivitamin. Now, with chronic back pain, it can be a condition of the mind as well as the body. We know that our body keeps score, so symptoms such as anxiety, stress, depression, other mental health illnesses can actually cause physical pain and actually make existing pain worse. So you might notice that pain feels worse when you're worried or you're feeling down or struggling with a past trauma. And that can show up now during our perimenopause and our menopause, and can be triggered and can sort of be masked as symptoms of our perimenopause and menopause. So on to muscle pain. Caused by the swinging estrogen and progesterone, our hormones going backwards and forwards. So us ladies lose muscle mass after we hit 40, so those female stem cells rely on estrogen to repair and to rebuild tissue, and so as a result, our hormones disappear, and so do they. So I think it's about checking out and noticing whether it could be a perimenopause or menopause symptoms. Now I talk about, maybe eliminating whether there are other possibilities of stress, anxiety, depression, lack of activity, bad posture. And I, as a result, have a tilted seat, which I'm showing you, that can help me with that. But if you also know that maybe the stress and anxiety can be brought in and part of the symptoms of your perimenopause and menopause, that's where I can come in to support you with therapy. And it's very much about firstly looking at strategies to manage stress and anxiety, but also fundamentally just to take a bit of a step back to say, okay, what's really going on here, and to look with therapy to identify maybe there's any kind of unresolved traumas or triggers associated with that stress and anxiety showing up during our perimenopause and our menopause. It can quite likely to be fear. Usually with anxiety, what's linked in is a fear from one direction or another, and it's about understanding what that's about. So we can, if you like, if you feel like your stress container is filling up, a bit like with anxiety too, then we can take a closer look at that just to understand maybe all those balls you're juggling during those peri and menopause years too. In terms of muscle aches and pains, Epsom salts, a wheat bag, a massage around your shoulders, alternating hot and cold therapies can be useful too. Very much hands-on ways to ease those muscles. Back to exercise too, with stretching, yoga and Pilates. Yoga is great for stretching out with exercise. Again, I mentioned before, checking up on your vitamin D levels. Your GP can help you out with a blood test there just to see where you are, focusing on fish and dairy products. And of course, you can also supplement throughout the year. Now we're moving into those autumnal and those winter months. And in bed as well, supporting you as you can rest between, I know I've got a sort of cushion between my knees just to sort of align my hips, also to make sure whether you've got a pillow that's supporting your neck and your shoulders too. So some thoughts there around helping with joint and muscle pain. And something I say kind of with therapy, if you're hearing the piece about stress and anxiety and you want to do the work and maybe clean up old processes, old beliefs that actually we're acknowledging don't serve us anymore in our perimenopause and our menopause, and sort of looking at that old stuff and almost kind of giving it an airing, getting rid of it to solve unresolved trauma potentially that may worsen your perimenopause, menopause symptoms, then therapy can really support you with this. You know, and I always say our bodies are keeping score. They're trying to tell us something. Um, and what therapy can do to help us sort of process any trapped emotions, feelings, and thoughts that have got stuck along the way. And now they're showing up and showing up more loud and clear in our perimenopause and menopause. And they're asking to have a voice, or they may be screaming at us through our joint and muscle pain. So we can explore that in therapy too. I always like to say that therapy is part of our whole self and part of our self-care, and can really support us as we go through these changes in our midlife. So I describe it as a pocket of self-care, really to show ourselves self-compassion. And you can read a little bit more about me at Clarity Kane Counselling, really to see how I can support you with therapy during your perimenopause and menopause. So just reminding ourselves, perimenopause matters, menopause matters. Thank you for listening today, and I will be back on Friday. Bye for now.